Jordan. It's so weird. It's just me, so it's gonna be kind of strange. Like, it just looks, it's so empty. But I'm glad that you are here. Welcome. Today we are focusing on sight reading skills, and we are learning a super fun song, the Super Mario theme. Oh my goodness, who doesn't love the Super Mario theme? So this piece of music is actually, it's a little bit tricky, but don't be afraid. I will walk you through all the steps. The more I kind of dove into the song, the more I realized it's like, it really is a lot like playing the video game. It's just a little bit challenging, but it's still really fun because it's something that I don't know, who here is not familiar with the Mario theme? Raise your hand. Hello friends. I'm gonna try to man the chat and the teaching at the same time, which is tricky. So I think I deserve a star. Oh, 17-year-old son is over his head in video games, but wouldn't join you? I don't know. I wasn't actually allowed to play video games growing up. It was a no-no at our house, but I would play them at friends' homes, and I did buy my son like the original Nintendo console, so we have this actual original Mario game. And I'd also like to introduce, we have friends today. This is Luigi, and this is Mario, and they're joining us for the special lesson. So I'm gonna prop them up right here by my computer, and then we're gonna dive in. So, if you guys have questions along the way, like I said, I'm kind of manning this by myself, please type them in, and if I somehow miss them at the end, remind me, because I don't want to miss your questions. If you're a member, you're going to see a little icon on the top right-hand side of your screen where you can download the sheet music. So what I did with this sheet music is I actually went in and I edited it to be as playable as I possibly could make it. Because like I said, it's a little bit challenging. There's some weird rhythms, and I wanted to make it fun. So what I think we'll do is we'll talk about how to set up the first little chunk. And so that's this part. Because if you can play that, that's enough of the song to go, oh yeah, that's the Mario theme. And it's a good little exercise. And then we'll carry on from there, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So we are in the key of C, but there's a lot of sharps and accidentals in this piece. So I'll talk you through that as well. I have input fingerings that are my suggestions. I don't actually always use these fingerings when I play. I just kind of go with what's natural, but this is what I found to be kind of what felt logical and easy. So you don't have to use these fingerings, but you're welcome to. So I'm going to suggest your third finger on E. So you'll see in the treble clef, we've got a note in the very top space. So if you like to use those rhymes to figure out your notes, you could go F, A, C, E. The top space is E. So we're gonna play E here, and I'm just gonna show you the right hand. Now you're gonna see a bunch of eighth notes, and then in the middle of the eighth notes, we've got these eighth rests, which makes it bonkers for timing. So I'm really going to encourage you guys to rely on your ears to teach you the right timing for the piece. I'll also talk to you about how to count it, but your ears are your friends here, I promise. So what you're going to want to do is break it down to one and. So what that does is it kind of splits the one into halves. So what you'll see is one and then there's a rest, which we're going to count as 2, and then there's another eighth note, which is and then another rest, which is 3, and then eighth notes and 4, and that measure finalizes, it finishes with an eighth rest, so that would be and. So the whole thing gets 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and how it'll sound is like this. All E's for the first 3 notes, then C and E. So we'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then the new measure, 1 and 2, 1 and rest and 3 and rest and. So do you see how that gets like complicated with the timing? But it is possible, I swear. And it is actually really, really fun. Oh, hey, JRM, welcome. I think this is your first live lesson with us. So this is a challenging piece, but watch, because there's always something to learn. So once more, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the theme. So our left hand is just going to play what's called a third. So you'll see the sharp, the original hashtag, beside the F, which is where we're going to play with our 2 fingers. So we've got a D, and an F sharp. And the nice thing about this measure is all you have to play is this. That's super easy. And then you're gonna set yourself up for success with that next interval because you've got a G and a B. And look what happens. If I keep my thumb kind of hanging out here on this B, which is right here, it makes it really easy to just pop this 2 finger up to the G. So what that looks like in motion is simple. There's one more G there. So one of the biggest takeaways I'd love for you guys to have is that you always want to be setting yourself up for the next move. When you're playing, especially with sheet music, you want to be setting your hand up so that it's positioned and ready to roll for those next movements, especially when you're playing music that has big gaps. So that you're going to find really helpful. So together, it's going to sound like this. Rest, rest. Isn't that fun? So fun. One more time. So E, 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 C, E, G. And then these two, D and F sharp. G. Rest, rest. So if you've printed this, take a pen and kind of draw like I call them checkpoints. Draw a little checkpoint, I don't know, check mark, smiley face, heart, whatever, exclamation mark, or circle those first 2 measures because that's your first checkpoint. Once you can accomplish that with ease, you can move on to the next one. And I love dividing music up this way because especially for busy people, if you don't have a lot of time to practice, it'll allow you to sit down and go, okay, I'm gonna work on this one today. So the next day you could go, okay, well I worked on that one, so this time I'm gonna start here. And it helps you to kind of break up the piece into manageable little sections so it stays fun. You want it to stay fun. Okay, so the next section here, we're gonna place, so we're in measure number 1, 2, 3. We're gonna have our right hand thumb on E and our 5 finger on C. So this is the ice cream man, the entertainer. Okay, sorry, I couldn't help myself. I have to talk about food in a live lesson or it's not a live lesson. Fuddy-duddy, this is the MX88 by Yamaha, and it is an awesome, awesome piano. Okay, so here we go. E and C. Anybody can do that. That's just an inverted C chord. So you're gonna play C with the E to make it a pretty interval. There's a rest, an 8th rest, so just half a beat. And your 2 fingers gonna hit G and your 1's gonna hit E. The next measure starts with an 8 rest. So if you're using a metronome, you're gonna hear a tick and then you're gonna play just after the tick. And that's where it gets like finger gymnastics because we've got this chromatic movement by half steps. A, rest, B flat, A. It's really snuggly in there. That's really cool. So here we go again. E and C, rest, rest. You're golden. Now this is where the left hand gets a bit more complicated. So we've got a G, a rest, an E, a quarter rest, and then a C. So that's no problem in and of itself. This little chunk is actually not so bad. You've got that fun harmony in there that makes it sound like Mario. I love it. This is where it gets tricky. So you have to move together, and it's scrambly. That's tricky to do. So you're gonna slow it down, and you're gonna break it into a really, like I said, manageable piece. You're gonna go from F, you're gonna lift for that quick rest, then you're gonna go B here and G here, a quick rest. Now everybody, as you can see, there's a flat on both of the notes, in the left and the right. So that tells you that you're kind of working together. Everybody's gonna go down a half step. So you can even drill this movement over and over until it feels cozy, and then you drop 1 more half step. And then you've got it. So all together, that's the first chunk of the song. How's everybody doing? Are you tracking with me? Like I said, if you have questions, shoot them at me. This next little bit here, measures 5 and 6, is in my opinion the most challenging part of this entire song. We've got some wild things happening. So we've got this big stretch from G in the right hand all the way up to E. And I'm suggesting that you do that from a 1 finger to a 2 finger because you have to go to G up here and then A next. So there's so much space covered that I find that using this fingering works the best. And it takes some time to develop a level of comfort with that. So even for me working on this, I had to drill this a little bit to get it. And every time I sit down to play, like, oh my gosh, why am I messing this up every time? Because it's hard. That's what you want to practice like 10 times. G, E, the octave above the low G you just played. So G, E, G, A, F, G, and then you've got 2 finger nicely poised on that E. So this is a perfect example of why we want to be organized about our fingering, because it helps us to set ourselves up for success. So if you've played this E with your 2, you're automatically going to have it hovering there, and that's where you need it. So you've played this measure, and look it's waiting for you. So you can go 2 on E, there's a jump down of a third to C, and then you're going to like pop this little 2 finger down to D. And then there's another little bop of a third there. So it's this movement, do, 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 do. And it's actually really fun to play when you put it all together, just like the video game. So, right? It looks easy. I made it look easy, but it's because I practice it, guys. So let's take a look at the left hand here. So we've got E, so this is harmonizing. That means they're complementary. So if we're playing a G in this hand, we've got an E going on in this hand, and it sounds really cool. So we're going from G. Again, there's this big jump. I'm going to suggest your 3. Sometimes I use a 2 and cross over. Experiment with what works for you. But you're going from E to C, and then you're going to go up another jump. So there's another interval of third. It's crazy. But the nice thing about landing on this F with your 1 is it sets your 3rd finger up for where it needs to be. I suggest a tuck for measure 6 to get to middle C. So your 1 lands on it. That way you can do this for that little measure. And that's a really easy little fingering setup. C, E, 1 and, or C, A, 1 and 3, and then B and G, 2 and 4. So together, I'm gonna go very slowly. It's gonna look like this. Whoa, that took me a while. Took me a while to get that. So that is how that all looks. I'm going to do it one more time, because if you're going to watch back and work with this to learn it, you're going to want to see once more. And a totally different fingering with my left hand. Again, if you can play it smoothly without kind of messing up or tripping, then your fingering's probably fine. So that's goalpost number 2. So make a little mark there and have a party for yourself when you can play that, because honestly, it's not easy. It isn't. So this next part, we're almost at the home finish here, guys. The home run, the home line. We're somewhere. We're almost near the end. Home stretch. It's so weird talking to a screen that doesn't talk back without Jordan to give me trouble for my flubs. Jordan, we miss you. Okay. So this is where the timing gets a little bit tricky, and then it's smooth sailing. So there's a lot of repeats in this next stretch. So I'm going to show you the right hand first again. It's going to have a quarter rest to begin. So you're going to go 1 and then your 5 is going to be ready on high G. So maybe we'll break down the notes before the rhythm. We're going to go from G to G flat, which is also an F sharp, to F, then to D sharp, and then to E. So it looks like a mess, but it's not so bad. So it's a chromatic scale down to F. So G, G flat, F. 2 finger plays the D sharp. Then 3 nicely lands over the E. And then you're going to go to this portion where you're moving 2 finger goes woo all the way to low G sharp. Thumb tucks under to 1, and your 3rd finger hits C. So it does this do, 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 do. I'll do it again. So this chromatic movement down. It's actually really fun to play, I promise. 2 finger flies its way down to G sharp. And it says 2, 1, 3, and then 1 on A, 3 on C, and 4 on D. Now that's going to repeat a couple times. So once you've got that sorted out, you can kind of take a breath. The complication comes when you add the hands together, because if you're looking at the paper or the screen, whatever you're using to view the music, you're going to see that the notes are like offset. You're only playing a C, a G, and a C in the left hand. So the notes are super easy. but it's where they're played that gets tricky. So feel free to draw lines. I always draw lines on my pages that line up where, the notes are at the same time and then maybe where they're not. So you can help yourself visually plan it out. First left hand plays C, then right hand plays this G, and then together, that's what happens. And it sounds truly awful, but it resolves, so you have to trust that it's gonna be okay. So I'll do it again, and let go right away. The G's only an eighth note and there's a rest right after it. So don't make friends, just play the note and get off. And then this middle C happens just after this D sharp. So it's weird. That's the measure. So it's gonna take some time. It took me a bit to get the hang of it. And I was like, this is too hard. But once I got it, it feels really great. So again, trust me, with some practice, this does get easier. So it goes, left hand is the 1 and, the right hand goes 2 and, 3 and, 4 and. I'll count it again. 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4 and. Feels really weird to say it out loud because it's just such a weird feeling with those offbeats. And then the left hand goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One more time. 1, so this left hand's playing F, C, F. Easy peasy. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Good news. It repeats. The only difference is instead of a G here, you're playing C, E, C. You could totally play G. It doesn't make a huge sound difference. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Oh, see, I even messed that one up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But when you're not thinking about it, this is what it sounds like. It sounds so great. So practice it. It's fun. This is a great Mario moment. We've got this little sus chord. All it is an F sus chord. So if you don't want to read those notes, play an F chord in your mind, but with your hand, sus it. So F, G, C. Easy. So this can be like one big goalpost, or you can split it in half at that point, because it just repeats. And then you're at the ending. So I'm going to pause before the ending. I'm going to just check the questions and see how everybody's doing. Hey, Italo, thank you. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so the ending. I'm going to play the ending. I'm going to teach it to you. I'm going to go through the piece one more time, top to bottom, and then we'll talk about some practice strategies, answer questions, all that fun stuff. So the ending begins with the rest. Isn't that nice? You can take a little break. You've got an interval of a fifth, and both notes have flats on them. So you've got an A flat and an E flat that you're playing with your right hand. You can use your 1 and your 5 fingers. That's where it's going to land. A flat and E flat. Then there's an eighth rest, and everybody's moving. Totally different feeling here. So you've got an F and a D. Don't be shy about writing the note names down on your page if you need that to help you. So A flat, E flat, F and D, another rest, and then we land nicely on E on the bottom and C on the top. The left hand accompanies that with an A flat. It travels up, B flat, C. So the hands are doing like opposite motions. So we've got, sounds so cool. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the song. It's a doozy, but oh my gosh, is it fun to play. This is a really great song to challenge yourself with. If you're a beginner, I would say it's a really good kind of like a long-term choice. So I always say when you're learning to play, you should have a song that you're working on that's like fairly easy to medium in terms of challenge for you. So you should be able to sit down at the piano and basically play most of the song and work on some little stuff, but it feels kind of easy and good to play. And then you should have your like your big piece, the piece that you have to maybe work on only a few measures per practice, and maybe it'll take you 3 to 6 months to perfect. So if you're a beginner, this would be a really great piece for that kind of more of a long-term goal, because it really will teach you some great things. It is a familiar song, so your ears will enjoy the process, unless you hate the song. If you hate the song, then this is not the right choice for you, in my humble opinion. Okay, so I'm gonna play it for you guys once more, top to bottom. Are you ready? Here we go. Yay me! I have to clap for myself. You guys can virtually clap for me though. Okay. So, how's that all sitting with you guys? And T, is my piano lining up? Sometimes I wiggle a lot. Is that good? I'm just gonna pull this back so it lines up just perfectly for you. Yay, I got the thumbs up from T. Woo! Okay, how's that feeling, friends? Any questions at all about it? We could have done a duet. You know, Randy, you know this one? Why didn't you come downstairs and do the lesson with me? Randy works here. Are you also a Mario fan then? Mario. Should be able to say it. We've also got Mario versus Luigi here. I'm very excited about these guys. I'm not allowed to keep them though. I borrowed them. I have to take good care of them and return them. So let's talk about practice strategy for a moment, guys. Oh, thank you, Vincent and Susan, for your applause. Much appreciated. Guys, I would be really interested to know what your gut instinct is as you have watched this lesson. I'd be interested to know if you feel like, oh my gosh, that's too hard, or if you're like, oh, I think I could play that, or oh my goodness, this is too crazy. I'd really like to know where you kind of feel this sits for you in terms of attainability. And I would say for practice, definitely print the music if you have that option. Print it out so that you can mark up your page. I know some PDF editors allow you to notate stuff on the actual document, so there's, I guess, always that as an option. Depending on your level though, I'd say pick one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 goalposts, potentially 5, depending if you split that middle section, that part, into 2. So I would say break it up so that you have one of those per week. So if you're feeling like, yeah, this isn't too hard, but it'll take some work, take one of those per week. If you're like, oh my word, I don't think this is gonna work, give it a try. And what I would suggest for you is to break it down a little bit further. Maybe just pick one measure, possibly 2, to work on per practice. So you're really breaking it down. And my advice is to always work on a song starting hand separately if you're still learning the notation. So don't be shy about penciling in the note names if that's helpful. Don't be shy about changing the fingerings if you don't like the ones that I've included. And then just work hands separately. Pretty sure even a novice can do that. That's easy. That's just a broken up C chord. And then you'll go, okay, well, you can do that. Next thing you know, you've done it. And then you can feel really good. And then tackle the next measure and just kind of move forward that way. I think that's a really good. Yeah, it is tricky, Susan. You should have seen it before I got my hands on it and did all of the changes. It was insane. Who would have thought the Mario theme could have been so complicated? But definitely, I believe that you could do it. Even if you just, maybe accomplish the first few measures and see how it feels from there. Give yourself that as a challenge. We've got a lot of members that are really interested in learning to play by ear, and I think that's amazing. I've said this a million times, my preferred way of playing 100%. But there's something to be said for nurturing a little bit of sight reading skills, and this is the way you want to do that, especially if you're not kind of inclined to is by picking songs that feel fun. So it might not be this one, but find something that you're like, oh, I wish I could play it, and then work on that. And if there's a song that you've got on your wish list, like, I wish I could play that, or that would be fun to learn, I can always help you guys find sheet music. So don't be shy about being in touch about that. All right. Oh, Randy plays it on guitar. Easy tune with practice over and over and over. Isn't that the truth? Over and over. Sorry, my earbuds are falling out. I'm having all kinds of problems today. Thank you, Simon. I thought my multitasking was excellent today as well. So I appreciate that. So if you're not a Pianote member, you should be, because then you can download this awesome sheet music that I worked out so hard on. Okay, Susan, I knew somebody was going to ask me to count out bar 5, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it because it doesn't make sense. I looked at a whole bunch of versions of sheet music for this song that I did not personally create, that other people that create sheet music as their life, made, and none of them counted out right. So my understanding, if we're looking at measure 5, is that we've got a triplet. So anytime that you see a 3 under a section of notes, it's considered to be a triplet. And what a triplet is it's 3 notes in the time that it takes for one beat. So we've got, ta, 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 ta. We've got 8th notes, which would be T, 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 T. And then we've got triplets, which would be triplet, 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 triplet. That's my understanding. 3 notes that equal 1. But if we do the math on that, it only gives us 1, 2, 3 beats in that measure. So I'm a little bit verstunk on this one. So how I have done it is just to make it fit. I've played it that way. So it's almost like a push. 1 and that's the best way I can come up with it. And the nice thing is there's no offbeats, so that your hands are cooperating, so you don't have to really break it down. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I don't really know what to say other than play it how you can get it out. This is what it sounds like when I play it. So it's almost like I put a little 8th rest after the A, the quarter note at the top, this A. I hope that makes sense, because yes, I should ask one of the drummers up and around here what the heck. Maybe they would have some insight into how to count that. But ta ta ti ti. So I would think maybe like that. Do a quick ta ta ti ti rest ti 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 rest. See what I mean? It's so crazy to count this one, which is why I'm so encouraging of you to count on, to rely a little bit on your ears in the process. So that's my kind of my beat. I did it. Now asking me to count and snap and play it is a multitasking level I have not yet attained. So I hope that helps. Susan, I believe they are counted 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3. Yes, you can count them that way, but it still is in my education. It's always been that one. It's always been that triplet group is a group of one beat. So I will go chat. Pardon me. I'm fine. With the guys upstairs, and I'll see if I can't get to the bottom of it and then break it down, and then I'll either pop it in the forums or I'll send you a little note about it, because I am not a drummer. All right, guys, that's feeling pretty good to me. Is it normal to practice that much that you end up playing it by memory? Is it cheating sheet music? Not at all. Oh my goodness, I almost have this memorized. I think it's great. The sooner you can memorize it, the better, because that means you know it. It's a side effect of knowing, is that you can do it from memory. So no, that's not cheating. Use the sheet music. I'm a firm believer of using a combination of your sheet music into your ear to learn a piece. The sheet music is like your guide. It tells you what you have to do. It's your map, it's your compass, whatever you want to call it. And then you learn it, and then you go. You go on the path alone. And that's like a, sorry, I'm falling off my chair here, guys. That's like a sure sign. That's a sure sign that you know it, and that's awesome. I was always discouraged when I was learning the piano and told that, you know, you're just memorizing the pieces, you're not reading them. But when you look at that logic, does it really actually make sense? If you can play it perfectly, if you know the piece, you've done the work, you've read the notes, you've learned the song, and now you're playing it from memory, well, that's a good thing. 2 thumbs up if you can do that. Those triplets cover half the measure, right? Yeah. I'm still not convinced that is notated correctly. So I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. But so this triplet section, I've played it using 2 beats. So I've gone an 8th note here and then a quarter note. I've gone, so that's an 8th note, and then I've done an 8th rest, and then I've come back. It just doesn't add up. I feel terribly sorry. I should have talked to the people upstairs, the Drumeo guys, before, but it always just made sense to me to play it by ear. So when I kind of muddled around with it, I had inserted like 8th rests to make it all fit in terms of my logic, but the actual finale wouldn't allow me to. So there's something fishy about that measure. Yes, the cover beats 1 and 2, they are quarter note triplets. Quarter note triplets? I've never heard of quarter note triplets before. See? See, I'm in over my head, guys, with this Mario stuff. We all have something to learn. Susan, are you a drummer? Are you a drummer? I'm gonna figure it out and get back to you. Thank you so much for your answer, and thank you for these free piano lessons. You are welcome. Okay, how do I say your name? Will? I thought my computer's far away. It's Will. Sorry about that. I'm taking this ear out because it's iced. There we go. That's better. I'm feeling better. The cover beats 1 and 2. They are quarter note triplets. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You can count it that way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's how I would do it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Does that work? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There you go. That's a logical way to do it. Yay! Susan, you are... See, Susan, I always say drummers have the unfair advantage. It's not even reasonable. In all my years of piano training and classical training, I never heard once of a quarter note triplet. So maybe my advice then to you all is to learn to play the drums also. Okay, here we go. Can you type in the name of the keyboard? Yep. Yamaha MX88. To the best of my knowledge. It says on the front, but I'm pretty sure. This is a really great keyboard. It's kind of like an mid to entry level keyboard. The keys are weighted. There's lots of sound effects. You can adjust all the knobs to do all the things. There's playback, transpose. And the keys are nice. There's a nice weight in the keys, so it's really lovely to play. It's not too heavy, so it's easy to take out and around with you if you're playing gigs. We love this piano. It gets 2 thumbs up. All right, guys. 3 counts per beat. What? I'm going upstairs for a rhythm lesson, Susan. I'm ashamed of myself. Okay, so I'm going to sort that out. But you guys have homework. Practice the song. Even if you just get the first 2 measures. In fact, once you've got the first 2 measures, send me an email and let me know how it went, and I'll be really thrilled to hear about it. If you can accomplish the whole song, email me that as well, because I will give you a gold star. And we all love gold stars. Okay, last check for questions, and then we are going to say goodbye. Okay, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. If you want the download for the sheet music, don't forget to come check us out at pianote.com. Pianote members, please do let me know how this all goes, and keep your eyes on the forum. I'll try to actually videotape my rhythm lesson with the guys upstairs so you guys can have a little insight into how that goes. All right, Have a great week, and we will see you with Jordan next time.